Shalom. I'm Rabbi Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the webyeshiva.org, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. I want, first of all, to wish everybody a Chanukah Sameach, a happy and healthy and illuminating Chanukah. Here in Israel, we had the merit already of lighting the Hanukkah candles. I want to talk in this short time about how we should use this Hanukkah to help us learn to use Hanukkah eyes. Hanukkah eyes. Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach, of blessed memory, said that Hanukkah is the holiday for the fixing of the eyes. So I'm going to talk about that. But let me just talk about something else about the Hanukkah lights before I get to that, how we can fix our eyes. There's a halacha, Jewish law, that says that the Hanukkah menorah must be no more than 10 tefachim from the ground. Translates to approximately 3 feet or a meter off of the ground, a little bit over that. And the question is why? Well, there's many answers given as to why this is. One says that the presence of God doesn't go that low, but stays above, and this 10 tefachim below is for man. That's our deal. But what that is really telling us is that, similar to a story of a king who sees his son fall into a pit, and he's got his crown on his head, and even though it's really below his dignity to go jumping into a pit, he would have a messenger do it. He doesn't. It's his son. We are God's children, so God comes down to whatever depths we are in, to bring us out of those depths. I want to tell you a story that Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach talked about. He gave this story, and it's a story about the Rabbi Baruch of Mezrich. Mezrich, one of the Hasidic rabbis, who went to visit a city called Zhitomar. And he's with his horse and buggy, and everybody, of course, is excited that this great Rebbe is coming to visit them. So when he comes into the city, gets to the beginning of the city, the outskirts of the city, he sees the whole city. Everybody's lined up on the right side of the street. On the left side of the street, he sees one lonely Jew. And he tells his driver of his horse and buggy, he says, "Stop right here. I want to talk to that person." So he goes over to him and says, "Shalom Aleichem," greets him, talks to him, and he says, "What are you doing here? Do you have any children?" So the man says, "Yeah, I have a 14-year-old daughter." So the Baruch HaMezritz, these rebbes could see into somebody's soul. So Baruch HaMezritz looked at him and said, "Wow, I have a 15-year-old son. Let's make a shidduch. In other words, let's put them together to get married." In those days, people were getting married much earlier than now. Sure enough, they agreed on it, and the Baruch HaMezritz came back to the horse and buggy and to the driver, and he said, "Give me a mazel tov." He said, "Why?" He says, "I just made a shidduch for my daughter with this man sitting over there." And the horse driver was taken aback. He was beside himself. "Rebbe, you can't do that. Do you know who this person is?" This person is the worst possible person you could imagine. How could you even talk about having your daughter marry this person? Back in those days, we didn't have the system of justice, uh, imposition of sentences as we do today. What they would do if somebody was really disgusting in a town, they would hook him up to a horse and buggy and let him drag on the ground and drag him through the street to really show that this guy is worthless. So they couldn't understand why he did this. But he said, that's what I thought what should happen. So he stays in the town for a few days, and nobody can understand what's going on. And just before he leaves, he goes to pay a visit to the home of the Zhitomir Rebbe, the rabbi from Zhitomir, who had just passed away a short time ago. And his wife was there. And he told his wife, he said, "Give me a mazel tov." Mazel tov, what for? Because I just engaged my daughter to this poor man. It's called Moshele, who's sitting across the street. This poor man Moshele, and we're so excited about it. Rebbitzin says, Mazel tov, Mazel tov. I want to tell you a story. A number of years ago, my husband is looking out the window, and they see this person who happened to be this Moshele being dragged through the ground, on the ground by the horses. And my husband said to me, remember, this man is one of the great tzaddikim, the great righteous people, because he is taking punishment for somebody else. He took the blame for something that somebody else did because he didn't want somebody else to suffer. And we see from that what happened. What do we learn from that story? We learn that it's not always what you see on the outside. Sometimes we need the ability to look into a person's soul, into a person's neshama, look deep in their eyes. The Rebbe's had this great power. They would, you know, be able to look at you and size up who you are, who you were, what you're meant to be. They wouldn't be thrown off by the outer coverings. They would look at the inner coverings. So the message from this, as Shlomo Carlebach says, is that he used Hanukkah eyes to see the real person. We too have to learn to use our Hanukkah eyes when we see somebody else. We have to recognize that this is a child of God. Hanukkah is the one holiday that if you're walking down the street and you see somebody else's Hanukkah candles burning, and you haven't made a bracha on your own, you haven't made a blessing on your own, you can make a blessing on somebody else's. And that's the beauty of Hanukkah. We learn to bless everybody else. We learn to bless and we learn to see. Oftentimes we're caught in situations where we don't really see what we should be seeing. So Hanukkah menorah, Hanukkah menorah teaches us to always open our eyes and fix our eyes. Get out of the habit of using your eyes in a bad way. In the Torah, when the tabernacle was dedicated in the desert, the Midbar, Aaron HaKohen, Aaron the high priest, he was shocked. He was sad because everybody, all of the leaders of the tribes are bringing korbanos, bringing offerings, but not him. So God said to him, don't worry. Your gift is better than all of theirs because their gift of bringing korbanos, bringing sacrifices, only works when there's a Beis Hamikdash. But you have the privilege, the mitzvah of lighting the menorah, lighting the holy menorah, and the menorah lives for generations. The light of the menorah continues. And like any holiday, as I've said before, any Jewish holiday, we have to take the light of that holiday and bring it past the holiday, bring it to the rest of the year. So my blessing to all of us is that we should be able to always access the light of Hanukkah that will bring us out of our deepest depths of despair and learn to use our eyes properly, to use our eyes with Hanukkah eyes. Thank you for listening. On behalf of the RebbeYeshiva.org, Hanukkah Sameach and Shabbat Shalom.